Phoenix Health and Vision Center. Now at Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney.
The Heart Place and Wellness Center, located at 103 Main Street in Ocho Rios, now has a new location at 21 Queen Street in Falmouth, Trelawney, offering ECG, echocardiograms, stress test, 24-hour blood pressure monitoring, and adult cardiology consultations. Our opening hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. To schedule an appointment, call 876-417-5164, 876-228-8124, or email us at info@theheartplaceja.com. With a healthy heart, the beat goes on.
Are you struggling with loneliness? Feeling depressed? Are you searching for a purpose to live? Are you ready to tap into your inner greatness? Ready to soar to your full potential? Come and be inspired. Join me, Dr. Asha Mwendo, on Healing Moment inside Gospel and Soul every Wednesday, 6 p.m., where we will help you to understand your purpose. We will help you to find your wind. We'll show you how to open your wings and fly. Healing Moments, Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
This is Fit FM.
Fit FM 96.7.
Ladies.
Good evening. How are we, my peoples? Good to be here with you this evening again on Healing Moments. And you know, the Healing Moments is brought to you by Wellness in Motion, and you're on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. Remember now, you can participate in the conversation by sending us a WhatsApp message at 876-482-4944, or you can call, message, or WhatsApp on 876-317-1991. And you know, our standard conversation is at Healing Moments. Join the call for elimination of violence against our women and girls. This evening, we have an awesome program lined up for you. It's going to be interesting. I don't want to say it's going to be fun, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be informative. And my guest will be Lady Joy Crawford, and you'll hear a little bit about her later on. And today we're talking about save and serve, an approach to well-being of our women and our girls. So you know the drill. Get a pen, tell a friend, get a sip, listen to this until we come right back.
If you see the tears falling from my eyes, don't be sorry, don't be sorry. And if you see my head held down when should be high. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. 'Cause with each tear that I cry, it is building a new strength in me. So brother, don't you worry about me. Let it be. It's just my Lord and Savior healing me. And if you feel you've got some tears just like mine, don't you worry, don't you worry, 'cause we have all been there through those troubled times. So don't you worry, I'll never worry, 'cause with each tear that I cry, it is building a new strength in me. So sister, don't you worry about me. Let it be. It's just my Lord and Savior.
Yes, Junior Tucker, I agree with you. That's our Lord and Savior giving us the strength to go through what we are going through. Yes, it's time for us to talk. So let us talk. What are we talking about this evening? A number of things, right? So before my guests come on, we normally have our little chit chat. And this evening, my first thing I want to look at is how many of you are planning to commit suicide by COVID-19? And I ask this question against the backdrop. I talked to a number of senior citizens after the vaccine was being given out, and I say to them, did you take your vaccine? No, sir, with all the things we're hearing, me soon dead, so if me catch me, make up my mind for dead. So people, I am telling you, if you are planning to commit suicide by COVID-19, it will still go against your suicide. Because if you know what to do and you're not doing it, and you're agreeing to catch a COVID and then be sick. And as I was saying to some of the senior citizens, it's not just catching COVID and dying, is a challenge. It's a suffer. You're going to suffer in between. Because most people who have it suffer. It is not easy. It is not nice. So I'm saying to you, when the next round of vaccines start, whenever that is, with all the challenges we are facing as a country at this time, and not only us, Jamaica, but a number of countries are facing right now where the vaccines are concerned, when it comes around to you to get it, take it. Or if you don't want to take it, don't take it. The choice is yours. I'm not forcing anybody. But when you are making decisions, do not make your decisions on false information. Just make up your mind if you want to take it or you don't want to take it. But don't give the stories. Because even you sometimes giving the stories, they are just stories. So stop it. Because I am calling that suicide by COVID-19. You have people go on the street and want to die and they want to commit suicide by accident or suicide by police or stuff like that. Some of you seems to have made up your mind to commit suicide by COVID-19. It's not a good decision because unfortunately, you may not take yourself alone. You may take others with you. And then now, I was looking at all the conversations going around about the domestic violence and the two clips that I have the misfortune of having to see in our space. One with that gentle, two people fighting. I will not say it is Mr. Right because that thing don't tell you exactly who it is. But you see a man giving a woman a very good beating. And so I saw that one, and then all of that conversation is still up in the air and still undecided and unfinished. And we have our sister walking away, not standing up for her own self-defense and continue with her pressing of charges for her own self-protection. But then I saw another video of a woman beating up a man, and then somebody gave her a piece of wood or something to lick the man with. And I am saying to myself, if it is wrong for a man to hit a woman, don't you think it is equally wrong for a woman to hit a man? It is equally wrong. None of us should be beating up on each other. I do respect the gentleman and his strong restraint of not hitting her back and walking away, or he tried so many times to walk away. It is wrong. Be it man or woman, we should not be beating up on each other. We need to stop it. And that man looked like he have a strong fist. And she was there telling him, lick me, lick me. And I don't know if he had done it, she would have been able to stand the lick. So let us stop being our worst enemies, ladies. Don't hit upon the men and then tell them to lick we back. Or because we know beforehand that this one man will not hit us. So we go on like we're bad and beat upon them. I've known of men getting licks and not hitting back because they were brought up to know that they are not to lick women, right? Let us stop it, man. Come on. Let us learn to talk about the situation, get help, seek intervention, but keep your hand on our side. Keep your hand on our side. And in furtherance to that, cut out the violent behavior and the abuse in the many forms. Just like how the men abuse us with their words and their actions, we women sometimes are just as guilty. And it doesn't matter who is doing it, it's wrong. Wanna stop it, right? Let us stop it. Let us stop it. But I also have a concern. I know if a child is being abused in any form, the law can take action don't need consent from the child to support the child. I believe we need to get our laws fixed that if any form of abuse is taking place, be it man, woman, or child, the law should be able to intervene even if both parties decide that they don't want to press charges. We need to make an example. I don't know how that law will be written or look because I am not a law writer. I just know some of the things I'd love to have in it. And so I'm willing to sit at the table for us to have these conversations because too many times victims are being bought out and you take the quick and the easy way out of not pressing charges out of fear or sometimes because you think it don't make sense, it's not worth it, or because you're embarrassed, whatever the reason. But no one have the right to abuse anybody and none of us need to sit down and take it. Not now. We don't need to do that, right? And so we're always playing catch up. And we're always doing that. So I want us, I'm not going to do a lot of long talking this evening because I am so pleased with my guest. She is already hooked up and on. And so we're going to take a quick break and, listen to this music as we transition and bring my guest in this evening. Lady Joy. Lady Joy.
Carla. Yes, Carla, I'm here. Are you hearing me?
I am hearing you beautiful, loud and clear, my dear. So how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic. I mean, I'm excited to be here with you in this forum,
I am
It's been a journey.
To have you. I'm excited to have you here with me too. I remember when we met, I remember the years, the journey. We have come a long, long way in our journey.
Indeed.
Yes, man. So we're going to play a little music and then you're going to bring you on and we're going to do our thing, So, Madam Technical, are you ready for my music? Okay. So Jesus going to fix us in the meantime.
Fix me, Jesus, fix me. Fix me in your own position. Fix me, Jesus, fix me. Please take me out of this pollution. Cause when you fix me, Lord, I'm safe and secured from doing wrong. Fix me, Jesus, fix me, that I don't have a mind of my own. Fix me, Jesus, fix me, Jesus, fix me in your own position. Fix me, Jesus, fix me. Please take me out of this pollution. Cause when you fix me, Lord, I'm safe and secure from doing wrong. Fix me, Jesus, fix me, that I don't have a mind of my own. Each day in life's journey, the road seems so dread. All its curves and all its tunnels and steep hills ahead. I was down in a lonesome valley. I couldn't find my way through. But Jesus wrapped his loving arms around me, for he's standing so near. Fix me, Jesus, fix me. Fix me in your own position. Fix me, Jesus, fix me. Please take me out of this pollution. Cause when you fix me, Lord, I'm safe and secured from doing wrong. Fix me, Jesus, fix me, that I don't have a mind of my own. So many times I've tried so hard.
Yes, yes, yes. When the Lord fixes us, we are well fixed. And so this evening I have in studio with me my guest online, Miss Joy Crawford. We have journeyed very long. We have seen each other living our dreams and our realities. This evening, I'm introducing her as the director of E for Life. And then I'm going to ask my guest, Miss Joy Crawford, welcome. Please tell the world who you are, because, girl, I am telling you, this is not Jamaica bound. This is international. So tell the world now, who is Joy Crawford?
Oh my Lord. Thank you so much, Carla. Indeed, it's been a journey. Who is Joy Crawford? Wow. I want to say Joy Crawford is a manifestation of an idea of life. You know, I believe that I am life, and whatever I do, whatever I touch should grow. And I believe that my purpose is to create life in whatever form, whether it be thought, whether it just been ideas, whether it be projects, whether it be love, whatever it is. I bring an energy to create growth and regrowth and renewal. And so I think I do that for myself every day. And so that is how I would describe myself.
Amen.
I'm a mother. I'm an NGO founder. I am a nurse by basic profession. I do all those other things, roles that I play, but I'd like to describe myself as my energy force, which is life.
Amen. And you know, and in the introduction that I put out in the advertisement, I put that you are living the reality that you want to see. You are living the change you want to have happen. You are living the answer to the question that our soul is asking. We want more. We want to stand. We want safety for our girls and our women. And you are living that reality by the choice you have made with your life.
Yes.
And for that, I continually want to laud you. I participate. I see everything you have been doing for our women and girls. Tell us a little bit about E for Life and what it stands for.
Okay, so E for Life, we are an NGO charity here in Jamaica. We gave birth 13 years ago. Myself and Patricia Watson are the co-founders. And, you know, we had an idea, or we accepted the idea, that women and girls were carrying the burden of the HIV pandemic at the time.
Yes.
And even now. And we saw where women were carrying the burden of families, of the children. The men were dying in the early days. And so we had friends too who died from HIV and AIDS. And we really thought they were left behind in the national response.
Yes.
There was a gap. They weren't listed at the time and as key population, and we wanted to do more. We worked with a number of other entities as consultants, but felt like it was time for us to do something for ourselves.
Yes.
I think it was a time where I personally was in my life journey where I wanted to do something more with my life than just make money. Oh, that was very interesting because I stopped making money that way. But and I think it was the same for her. So we came together with an idea, and we decided that we were going to form an NGO, primarily to look at how we support women in our country that they're who are living with HIV, that their lives will, be full and stand, amongst everybody else.
Right.
Very soon into the work, though, we recognized that the adolescent girl child was even more vulnerable. And some of these women kept telling us, Auntie Joy, the girls, there's nothing happening for the girls, there's nothing happening for the girls. So we quickly shifted our target focus to be girls. And so even though we started our work as a part of the national HIV response, we recognized that we had to address the issue that was stared us in the face. And that is how were the girls becoming infected. A small percentage were living with HIV as a result of vertical transmission from their mothers. The majority had gotten HIV through sex and sexual contact. And it's not rocket science. So if they're underage, if they're under 18 and they are teenage mothers, it means then that we have this monster of sexual abuse, of rape, of incest, and all those other things that nobody wanted to talk about or address. That was intersecting. And then, the rest is history. We have become, I think, one of the premier organizations world known for the advocacy and the support that we have given to the girls of Jamaica as far as it concerns their sexual health, rights, and protection. So in a nutshell, that's what E4Life does.
Yes, and I must add that E4Life provide a wraparound program for these young women and their children, and that the wraparound, what I call a wraparound, is that you don't just take care of giving them some food or giving them a little hand. You provide a holistic program.
Yes, we're into empowerment. We're into empowerment. We believe that we are just a vehicle to help them. Like I said, we're about life giving. So we provide the environment for these women to shine and to take their rightful place in society.
Amen. And I must agree, you guys have been doing a good job, a well-needed work. Unfortunately, there's a need for E4Life. And I normally say, even with the program that I run, I normally say, unfortunately, there's a need for us, because I am not put out that if tomorrow morning there should not be a need for us, that we wouldn't have anything to do. We'd find something else to do.
Yes.
I'm strong like that. But unfortunately, at this time, there's a need for E4Life. And I want to just put a plug in here before I go any further, that at the end of the program, I'm going to ask you to tell people how they can connect with you, how they can support our women and girls. And I still have the baby clothes and we're not sent for yet.
All right.
I still have them. I collected some and I still have some. And I have some other nice little trinkets to go with that I have received. And I still have them. So you need to make arrangements for me to get them to you. And so I'm going to allow you a little from now to put your plug in for how persons can support the process, because it is well needed. And I keep on saying, all of us doing this is still not enough, because we still need more hands on deck. Because as much as we protect, as much as we serve, as much as we care for, there are so many still falling between the gaps. So this evening, I'm calling to persons who are listening. By the end of the program, and Joy will tell you how to participate in the process of change and save and serve. And so, Joy, a lot of things have been happening where domestic violence is concerned. And I have decided, I made a decision a long time ago, well, you know that it's one of those things I will not be silent on. And so I remain a perpetual advocate for change and for support for our women and our girls. And I am praying at this time that for now, this conversation has started again. We are all pushing forward. And I don't want us to stop the conversation when the hype finish.
Yes.
We want persons to still, I have decided, and I know you have, and a number of other persons have, it's not a 9-day wonder for us, because it is something we face every day in the work we have to do. And last week I had 8 women in shelter. Thank God today it's down to 6. I have 6 women still in shelter and some children. And we want that story to change. I want to say that my centers are now not shelters for women who are being abused, but opportunities for women to train and become who they are supposed to be. We don't want to have to be providing for young girls who are getting HIV through abuse from big men who know better. We
Right,
want
right, right.
conversation. But we see what is happening now. And this evening, I have done for you as our topic, Save and Serve Approach to Well-Being. But in
Yes.
looking through the lens of what is happening now, talk to us, Joy. I am not going to bound you by telling you what I want you to tell me this evening until later on. I want you now to talk to us about everything that is happening. How is Joy feeling about this? How is Ifa Life feeling about this? What is our conversation? Where are we going? Wagwan.
Thanks, Carla. I mean, when I was waiting to get into the studio, I remember the song that you were playing, but it was very emotional for me. How
Yes.
are we feeling? We're sad.
Yes.
We're sad. We are sad because, like you say, we're in an era where there's a potential 9-day wonder again. I'm hopeful though. I think just before sometime today, I saw that there's a new women's movement that actually is calling themselves that, not a 9-day wonder, made up of
Okay. Is that
professional
so?
women. It was
Okay.
on Twitter this evening, and that they were demanding to have dialogue with the female parliamentarians, and that they were going to focus on lobbying for law change. So that's
Yes.
good. I think
I
in
need to make use of
2021,
it.
a lot more people are in the dialogue, and we welcome that.
Yes.
There's a little skepticism though, that
Mhm.
we've been around for so long and we have seen them come and go.
Yes. True.
Because one of the main things with movements is that if they are not born out of personal pain, they
Yes.
tend not to last.
True.
So, we really want the allies on board, but it needs to be driven by personal conviction that it doesn't compete with your 9 to 5 agenda. It
No.
doesn't compete with your every other thing, because this kind of movement can consume you.
Yes.
And if you're going to be here for addressing the issue around violence, especially with our girls, it cannot be a one-off project. It cannot be as a result of an incident, because it takes so much more. When the funding done, the pain
Yes.
still goes on.
You and I know
When
that.
when the counseling that is provided by the state agencies finish, the person still need more counseling. So the investment into the lives of survivors, when the case gets thrown out because people don't show up to court, the
Right.
pain still remains with the survivors. So while we welcome and we need the change at the legislative level, we can't afford to have um, reforms and or laws on the shelf for 4 or 5 years. I mean, the Sexual Offences
Right.
Act, the Domestic Violence Act, the
Look how
Sexual
long.
Harassment. These things have been on the shelf for so long. So we have the energy, and we have the review, and we go to Parliament and we make we submission, and it's like a shooting star. It fizzles out again. I'm hoping that we don't have that again, because we've been there, we've seen this, and we have had horrific cases. I remember one year there were some women who were being killed, murder, suicide, and then there was this one where I think it was a soldier or some security person shot a woman in front of her child on Maxfield,
Yes.
and they had about 3 murders back to back, horrific in the eyes of the public. And then what? It fizzles out.
Yes.
So we have been here. We have been here where the public becomes incensed
Yes.
about incidents. We need more than that.
We need
One of the things I'll say, Carl, is that what people need to understand is that, and from an E for Life perspective, every time you have the hype in the society, it hurts people who survive.
Yes.
It hurts the women who are in their houses and they're seeing it. And if they're in the house with an abuser, the abuse turns up, because sometimes the person says, "Oh, you think you can do that to me?" And they become more threatening. Women relive and get re-traumatized their own pain. So there's another part that's going on. So it has to be a multi. Yes, we want the laws to change, and I'm at the front of the demanding of the law.
Yes.
Because even the thing that you mentioned about women or men going to report domestic violence and then nothing happened because they change their mind. Without the law, really, the police can do so much and no
And
more.
no more.
You
That
know,
is it.
so we need the law on our side. But I do think in a forum like this, the community, the listeners, we can do so much more to
Yes.
understand the experience of the violence and how we support survivors. Because,
Yes.
you know, if we can do better at supporting our survivors, not shaming them, not blaming them, not
Mhm.
stigmatizing them, then half the battle is won because they now can become the greatest advocates. They are the
Yes.
ones who can get into the face of the lawmakers. At the
Yes.
moment, the thing weak,
Yes.
you know?
And and as you say that, a victim who has become a survivor will stand up when they feel the love and the warmth
Yes.
of those around them and supporting them. We don't want to use them as labels. We don't want to put them on Facebook as somebody we give a handout to. We want to be there with them as sisters and brothers, standing for hope, standing for change, standing to make a difference. And we know that no law carries any teeth if we don't have the implementation tools for it. But
Yes.
true, the laws carry more teeth when we believe in the law.
Yes.
And no law in this world is formed without advocacy and agitation from the ground up.
And I like what you say about believing in the law. You know, someone asked me recently, what do we need to do? To be honest with you, those of us who have been in the trenches, those of us who are survivors, we
Yes.
kind of just waiting patiently. Because like I said, there is cynicism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we've been here before
Oh,
and we
yes.
really want to believe. We really want to believe. So in the meantime, what we can is believe in each other, believe in ourselves.
Yes.
And really, you know, creating like the platform that we have here to speak to each other
Yes.
and to win over some allies. But it's time for action. It's not time for any more, you know, pandering and political stuff and all the drama. You
Yes.
know,
I'm tired of the tabletop scenarios now. We need actual activities to be happening.
exactly. That's where I'm at. So we are sad, we are hopeful, and we're determined. We're determined that you know, I'm gonna say something that's very might be controversial. And
Go.
one of my protests this year is that I'm not marching. I
Yes,
welcome
I
all
decided I'm
marches.
not marching too. I said I'm not marching, I'm not putting on no colors, and not doing none of those things.
I am
Good enough.
I'll encourage everybody who can and want to go march.
Yes, if you
Everybody who
want.
can and
I
want to
am
go
not.
picket. But part of my protest this year is that I'm not joining any
Mm-mm. I am speaking.
because it's more than that. I want us to have money. We need to have a dedicated budget. We need to have
Yes,
funds coming into women-led NGOs who can
yes,
take care of the needs of the girls. We want funds. We want private sector on board to make sure that we have food to feed the people. I want action. I want some action this time. I want the shelter to be up, not and running and operational. All
yes.
of them fully
All of
because I mean,
them.
we do things in this country fast when we want to do it. It's too long in coming. You know,
Listen to me.
I
I
want
am
to see
saying to
action. I want to
myself,
see key. You know, I want to hear that
I
women
see
are
roads
gone in and
being
lie down.
built. Yes, I see roads being built, and we can't build a shelter.
Yes, I
And the
mean,
persons
so
who are
I don't want
running
to hear that
private
coming
shelters having
anymore.
challenges for, we don't need to compete with
We want it
anybody
to be
for the
occupied.
support.
I
Yes,
want to see businesswomen coming on board and providing employment. I want to
yes,
see women stop laughing at women getting beaten and say, oh, she deserve it. She
listen to
shouldn't have
me.
this demand. I want to see men standing up and saying to their brethren, yo man, no go there.
Right.
So I want to see some real transformative action. That's what I want this year at this time. Nothing less.
Joy, I am with you. I have made a decision, and because even if you notice on Facebook, the utterances I make are limited and point. I am not into everybody. There's a lot of talk carrying on now, and we have a
Yeah.
lot of wagonists, and all good for the wagons. We need the wagons to keep the stories going, but we need some solid, stable buildings. We need things to be happening that our women can start to embrace the safety and security. And then they can also understand that there's a net to catch them if anything happens and they fall through that safety and security, and
Yes,
they need
yes,
that net
yes.
support. We don't want our women to feel raped and abused again just to get little help.
Yes, exactly. And I do think it's doable,
It's
but it
doable.
really is gonna take some shift. There's some intellectual problems as well.
Mm,
With myths. For example, when you hear things like a man can't help himself as I'm born, it's in his
this is
DNA that men are aggressive, or that men can't control themselves sexually, and it's a woman
mm,
who turn him on. That kind of stuff. We weren't born violent. Violence is nurtured. It's not in our nature. It's something that is taught. It's something that is copied by what
mm-hmm.
people see. So we can make that shift in our boys and our girls. We this thing of, Carla, I mean, to see that we're still having so many teenage pregnancies in our country, which
Mm-hmm.
means that
Mm-hmm.
there is rape and incest going on.
Still going on and
And they're not all by their
accepted
peer
under
group.
the covered norm.
Uh, Exactly. And the older man who we have turned into a sugar daddy is the same dirty old man that me and you grew up with.
Same dirty
And
old
so
man where we
those
go up
things
with.
are doable. They're
Mm-hmm.
doable. We can make those shifts culturally if we really want to. But we haven't spent enough time focusing on re-educating our people. Not when
That's what
there's an
we
incident, but in
mm-mm.
our curriculums, in understanding the impact of what gender stereotyping is. These things we
Yes.
need to do. And stop saying everybody gets once you start talking about gender, you put down men.
Yes.
Get over yourself,
Yes.
guys. That's not what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things I'd love to see happen.
Joy, I am
You
with
know?
you. I think we need to get to that place where we stop the talking and the wishing. I remember when we were growing up as children, my grandmother would say, if wishes were horses, poor men would ride. I always remember that statement. If
That's
wishes
right.
were horses, poor men would ride. Because all we do is wish, wish, wish. And if there were horses, we'd have a lot of horses to ride on. So we need to move beyond the wishing. We need to stop talking that all the things you're going to do, because guess
Yeah.
what? It sounds good. I listened to Miss Grange yesterday. I listened and it sounds good. But I almost want to say if that was a song, I'd know the tune. And if it was a dance, I could move my
Yeah.
foot.
One of the things I have a challenge with our women in leadership, and this is not just about the minister, it's just in a general
No.
thing. When I hear
Mm-hmm.
women in leadership calling for, especially those in parliament who are saying that we need to have a change, we need to
Mm-hmm.
change this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, who is a we? Is that your job? You know,
Yes.
I don't want to see them out on the road at the front of a picket line. I want to see them inside the debating and not locking down parliament until them get it right. I look at what's happening, I talk about what happened when we had the Me Too movement in the States. And the
Yes.
woman in 2018, I think it was, where the Democratic women showed up wearing black, and they stood with the survivors and the stories that we were hearing. And then 2 years later, or 1 year later, it was all of the women, Democrats
Mm-hmm.
and Republicans, they were dressed in white. And I remember seeing the picture out in front of in the Capitol. And I was like, wow, what solidarity. Not a discussion about solidarity, but a demonstration of solidarity.
Of
And
solidarity.
ever
Yes.
since then, every time these women get an opportunity, they speak about what's happening to women. They speak
Yes.
about not once in a while, and I want to see us sit down in parliament overnight. Don't
Yes.
go home till the thing done. That is what's going to take, not bringing the thing to the table and we spend 5 or 6 hours on it. Set yourself a goal, bring in the coffee, work
Mm,
all night. That is what
yes.
is going to show that we're serious. And I'll tell you, and I'm going to say it even today, get discouraged. We're
Mm-hmm.
taking away their hope the longer we take to act on their
Yes.
behalf.
It is so right. And Joy, when those who are being abused know, see what happened for those who were abused before, they said, what it makes sense remember that talk. Because all I'm going to do is
Exactly.
create get my environment, get more leak without no support.
Yeah.
So we need action.
And
When I hear
Carla,
voices in leadership position, yes, go ahead.
I always like to talk about what I now call the more vulnerable of the vulnerable. Remember now,
Mhm.
the cases that we see come in the public domain and take traction, you can almost want to say is another class.
Yes.
We not talk about the girl now who in a whether be inner city or rural Jamaica
Mhm.
or families that really my mother that's a dark.
Mhm.
Yeah? Talking about some where they don't have no capacity. They will never make the news unless there's
Never.
murder. There's a
That is a sad
whole
thing.
there's a whole another fraction. They don't have anywhere to go. They can't move to their friend's house down the road.
No.
They are the ones that we need to be making the changes for. And I'm not
Yes.
downplaying any woman's abuse, okay? I'm not
No.
downplaying any woman's abuse. I'm not downplaying any man's abuse. But even amongst the vulnerable, you have another group that is more vulnerable because they
More
lack the
vulnerable. Yes,
capacity.
it's true. It is true.
So if we're going to create programs for them, for people, it must include them first. So
Yeah.
even if how do they access? So like, COVID came and hit us, right? And the
We
government came
are
up
at
with
some
a very
levels.
good plan about giving support. I think it was some kind of cash voucher, I think, right?
Yes.
But my clients gonna get it because one, they not have no TRN, they're not in the formal sector,
That is
they don't
it.
have they never had this stuff that qualified them. Mark, they're Jamaican citizens and them working,
Yes.
but they are working in an informal sector. Them probably buy and sell, or
Mm-hmm.
them they look hairdressing at home and that kind of stuff. So they didn't benefit from that gift, but
And
they're
they
the
are
ones
the
who
among
needed
the
it
most
more.
needed. Yeah. Because I
So
have
we
some
have
of
to come
those
up with
too.
structures,
And we cannot
you
go
know,
as an organization and say to the government, you're giving out these
on their
cash grants,
behalf.
and we represent a number of women work with us.
Exactly.
I've spoken to persons who can provide support to even for food, and they're saying to me, send me the list of who you're going to give it to. I cannot do that.
Exactly.
So I have to move on to
Exactly.
somebody else.
Exactly.
When I say to our MP, I have 10 women I would like to get some of your food packages for. And then they will say to me, send us a list. I can't do that, so I have to move on. You might say, oh, well, then I need it. But we need it. But we still also have to protect their integrity, protect their right to life and safety, protect their rights to be able to tell their
And
own
simple
story
as that.
tomorrow.
So the time has come for them to recognize entities like us because we are
Mhm.
acting on behalf. Do whatever you want to do. Do your due
Yes.
diligence, check us
Check
out,
upon
whatever. And
us.
then you're going to
Yes.
say, here is an organization that we are going to trust to meet these people. Because as long as you put
Yes.
that up, they're not going to get anything.
They're not going to get
And
anything.
so there are things
Last
that we
week
can
I had
do.
this very conversation with someone who represents an organization, and the person said to me, they're going to want the name of the persons, their address. And I said to them, I can't do that. I run a shelter that I have to keep safe and secure. Some of the very men in your organization who I'm going to release my private information to are abusers themselves and friends of abusers
Mhm.
who might be looking for some of these women that I am protecting. I can't give you that
Yes,
list. I have to give it the list. I will move on. The Lord will provide. And the Lord always provide, but it is an unfortunate situation.
it
Because
is.
Joy, if
It's
you feed
yes,
10 and I feed 10, if they were partnering with us, we'd feed 100.
exactly. And I think so for me as an organization, there are stuff that we can do to
Yes.
make the whole thing better. It's going to take strategic and real meaningful partnership.
Yes.
Partnership with civil society organizations that have proven their
Mm-hmm.
worth. Because I don't want to hear the stories about who are the scammers. Yeah, we know the scammers are there, but
Oh,
weed
we
them
know
out
they're
because there are
there.
non-profits around who have proven
Yeah.
our worth. Allow us to be the partners with you. Private sector
Yes.
need to come on board and allow us to partner with you to reach those people like I call
Mhm.
more vulnerable, the more vulnerable of the vulnerable. The
Mhm.
young women, every time I hear about young women and girls, I keep telling them like a girl is not a woman.
Yeah,
There are
thank you.
young girls in our country who don't have the
Young
capacity,
girls.
and E4Life stand in the gap for them. Reach out to
Yes.
us and let us help you put in their lives and in their hands the support that's required because you can't reach them because it
Mhm.
makes them unsafe. It
Yes.
makes them unsafe for you to be in
Thank
their
you, Joy.
space.
We keep
Unsafe
on taking
emotionally,
persons. The people who
unsafe
we
physically,
support, yes, they can't come forward.
and
They can't take a picture
yes,
with you
so
giving them a check. They can't take a picture with
Yes.
you, give them a box of food because they are already
Yes.
vulnerable, and doing that will make it worse for them and make it harder for them to
Yes.
rise above their circumstances.
Yes.
We just cannot do it that way. Yes, I know you're going to tell us every year we have scammers. We always do have scammers. But there are some organizations that have been around for quite a while now. We have not gone
Mhm.
anywhere. We continue to support people. We have proven ourselves. Support the call, support the cause. Let us really stop just being a bag of mouth and talk and put articles into paper,
Yes.
but actually do things that will make a
Yes.
difference in the life of a young girl, of a young woman who is struggling, of an abused woman, and also the men who need to be educated are
Mhm. Mhm.
re-educated on how to communicate in this society in which we live now. So, Joy, it is really, really true. Continue, my dear.
Can I want I'm going to let men. Um, and men, because men by the data tell you that the men are mainly perpetrators. Men
Mm-hmm.
because our society have taught our men to be perpetrators.
Mm-hmm.
Men because our culture has taught our men how to be aggressors. And it brings me to this term that people throw around about toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Um, we like to throw it around. For me,
Yes. It sounds good, eh?
as you know, if you speak, you must always speak what you want. It's a
Yeah.
principle in universe, eh? And if we
Yes.
keep putting this thing about that there's this toxic masculinity,
Yes.
there's one school of thought that says women are to be blamed for nurturing men that way. There's a school of thought that says men are biologically like that, all those things. Then I ask myself and I say to men, then it means that you can't change. So all of
Mm.
this thing that we talk about, it won't happen. And we have work. We work with men. We have currently what we call our Nogade ambassadors, and a lot of them are men. We have a group of community men and women across Jamaica. We probably have about a little bit under 40 of them in about 25 communities, high risk
Yes.
communities. And we've been working with these men for the last 4 years. They are great men. They're fabulous men. But you know what has helped transform those men is that we
Yes.
talk about transformative masculinity and we give them
Mm-hmm.
information.
Yes.
The more they learn, the greater the change is.
Amen.
You know, the more they learn, the greater advocates they are. The
Mm-hmm.
more they learn, they come back and they tell us the stories, the more they transform. If we
Yeah.
put knowledge and we deconstruct myths in the heads of men, if we teach our men how they can be transformative, how they come to produce life, how they come to their role is to provide and protect and to nurture and to break down gender stereotypes, they will transform themselves. And
Yes.
so I think we must stop making an excuse that there's this some kind of intrinsic, because just like you said earlier, no, there are women who beat and there are
Yes.
men who beat. Men don't have a monopoly on beating. Women don't have a monopoly on beating. It's a
No.
human thing. It's a human thing that when human beings are cultured and in a particular way, they respond in a particular way. And
You said,
unfortunately, we as a society and as a region have taught maleness with aggression. And
yes.
anything outside of that, we call it gay, we call it sissy,
Mm-hmm.
we call it
Mm-hmm.
weak, we
Mama
call that
man.
man must hug him son and all that kind of drama.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
These things can change. So I reject this thing about toxic masculinity. And it's something that we must understand and accept. No, every male is a human, every female is a human. And
Yes.
all of us have intrinsically the ability to transform if the enabling environment supports our transformation. We reject that thought.
That is true. And if we put forward the idea that because that is how they were brought up and they can't
Mm.
change, that is saying to us that whoever we are now is who we will continue to be forever. Even the
Exactly.
gospel, even the message
Exactly.
of salvation and Christianity will be none and void. Because how you going to come and tell me to come to church, you know me can't change.
Carla, can
What
I go there with religion and violence? Yeah, I
Yes.
want to go there. Yes, you keep pushing
Yes,
it.
go
So
there.
let's take it to church. As an institution, I realized recently, I think it was Father Gregory who called on the church to examine the institution of church and how it supports or facilitates violence against women. And a whole bunch of people was carrying on and, oh, but the fact is, it's true. There are so many things that are misquoted in scripture. There are so many
Amen.
practices within the faith space that teaches that women are demure and that there's a submission that takes place only with women and not with men. And we
Yes.
talk about, the man is the head, but they forget that the man must present the woman as a radiant bride. And we tend to
Yes.
turn the scripture upside down. And when we have things that say the woman is to, we had a situation once where there was a man who had molested his daughter, and he was a
Mm.
deacon. And when the
Yes.
report was made to the police, of course, the police showed up at the yard, and by the time them reached, the church elders were there. And they were like, but brother so and so, it's a weakness of his flesh.
Oh,
It's not really, he can pray about it, and we will work with them and all that kind of stuff. And this thing turned from a crime, and now it was becoming a church matter because it is not, it's a weakness of flesh. And then the child was now end up on what you call it, 10 for a mobile, because she was
yes.
made out to become a liar, and she, all that she's seeing and hearing things. And the man in there, too many times churches and church space protect the violence
But
and
yes,
the
and the
sexual violence
perpetrators, and we keep
simply
forgetting.
because they say, yeah,
Yes. Are we still
that the perpetrator
operating like a
is
woman caught in adultery all by herself? We're still perpetuating that today.
exactly.
We forget the way it was handled by Jesus. We keep talking about the men are the head of the house and the men have their rights and their leaders. They fail to miss the little point where the Bible says the man is to love the woman as God
Yeah,
loves his church.
love the
God ain't
church.
abusing us. So the man is not
And
supposed
therefore,
to abuse us.
right. And so, we have to be careful. And what makes it very challenging in religion, we are of a space where if the pastor say, I say go, the church is a space where people are taught you need to believe, and
Mm-hmm.
taught that I'm a representation of God's authority. So it's very easy within faith space for people, men and women and families, to shape their family around
Yes.
doctrine, to have these family secrets,
Mm-hmm.
rather than reporting stuff. We go to prayer meeting and we want to lick out the demon and the devil out of the girl because uncle is raping, and we have all of these things where we are now bypassing the truth of what's happening. You
Yes.
see, the Sunday school trip before COVID time.
Yes.
If there's one place where we send our children was church camp. If
Yes.
there's one place in our society in Jamaica where children go unsupervised, we don't even think twice. It's a church camp.
Make us so
Summer camp,
so.
because what? It's a
Yes.
church camp. If they go to
Yes.
any other camp, we get worried.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? How much things are going on at church camp?
It's true. It's true. I know if when we're growing up, if I say to mummies, our school is having this camp or that camp, you're not going. Church
You're not
having camp,
going.
make sure you're going to church camp. And if you say you don't
Exactly.
want
And
to
I
go,
used to go
you're
to
in
church camp.
trouble.
And
You're
I
in
don't want
trouble.
to tell
You
people
have
what
to
I used
go.
to go to church camp. I went to church camp and we did some things that were not very church
We're
like.
not supposed to do.
And
Yes,
so
we
I
do
say
make
that to say that
troubles.
the issue of faith and church and religion can be a cocoon for violence.
And
And so we
Joy,
have
for
to look
me,
at that as well.
it's true. And for me, the church setting is the perfect setting to create the re-education that we need. If the
Yes.
church paradigm would just understand their strong responsibility, understand that we don't want persons to be brainwashed and bombarded to hell in the wrong behavior and cocoon and protected by a
Mm-hmm.
church. But we want to give the right message. So yes, you tell us earlier on that men are the head. Teach men what to be the head looks
How to
like.
lead. How to
Yes,
lead. Yes, yes,
teach them
yes.
to be a
So I mean,
leader their voice and their actions and not to shout and beat. Because when I normally say, when a man tell me that I'm here run me yard, I know exactly where him running
Yeah.
is round the house. When you have to say you are the man, that means you even
Yes.
inside you don't feel like the man. So
Yeah,
you're
man,
trying to
right.
bravado and be the man. So we need to teach our men how to be strong forces without being abusive.
Yeah. So the issue
Listen
of
to me,
gender-based violence cuts across.
nobody not have a problem to submit to love. What is wrong with them? When God said we women
Exactly.
should submit, the church should
And love
submit. Who
heals.
have a problem to
Love
submit
heals.
to love? Nobody.
That's right. That's right. And so the issue of violence for me, gender-based violence, goes across so many areas
Many
that
levels.
we have, in order to address it, like you said, we have to have a wholesome, we have to have a holistic response. So yeah,
Yes.
let people who want to march. Let us lobby for the changes in law. Let us remember the survivors and how we care for them.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot not do all of it. And I think if I could pick, to be honest with you, which of these things I would address first,
Yes.
I really think that it's time for us to provide a society that really values the voice, the experience of survivors, and
Yes.
give them the protection that they need from those who are hurting them.
Yes, it's true.
Whether it's a family, whether it's an institution, and whether it's the state.
Yes.
We have to put them at the center of. It can't be us. If the initiative doesn't put the survivor at the center of it, then it becomes another 9-day wonder.
It becomes another 9-day wonder. And guess what? When we allow the voice of the affected to rise to the surface, it
Mm.
moves a need and it moves an urgency for transformation far more than you and I can ever do.
Yeah.
However, they have to know that when they come out, when they rise to stand for themselves, we will not beat them back down by blaming them for being victims in the first place.
And it comes to the topic about safe. So what we need to do as responders, that we need to serve,
Yes.
not try to save. Because what we're trying to do now, a lot of initiatives are trying to rescue.
No,
You
we
don't need to
don't.
rescue anybody. We need to serve people. Serve people from a space of respect, of love, and autonomy. And we
Yes.
will get much further in this situation. We have to
Yes.
serve, not save.
Yes. I see today when I got a call from one of the women that have moved through my program, and I got a call from her and she said to me, I am living over here in Australia. I hear you calling out for help to help those you have in your shelters. We have worked together before. Because of you, today I stand. And a number of sisters have stood with me because there's a part of the program I normally say to them, be a stone in the river. So she said she
Right.
decided that where she is should become a drop in the river, that her ripples would go out. And she have created ripples. She have helped women. And she called me today to say, I want to adopt 2 of the sisters you have in the shelter with their children. We want 2, give us 2. So their organization will take 2. They will work with them because I like to provide a wraparound program. It's not a one-off something where we have to work with you until you can stand on your own 2 feet. And so
Yes.
this woman now is able to call me to say, I want to give back. So I had 8 women
Right.
in my shelter. And now I have 6 that have need because 2 have been provided for. And we need more of this to happen because in
Yes.
provision, sometimes we have to give the women new identities for them to move forward. Joy, you have the girls, you have to move them from one community to another for them to be able to rise. You are doing it. And we have been doing it. And we have been doing it for years upon years upon years. I was in a program yesterday, and when somebody asked me, how long have you been doing? I said about 13. And one of the persons who have been working with me said, no, this program have been going on for 16 years. And I look at it, I said, my God, I have been doing this for a long time. And then my daughter said to me, Right out of high school, you take me to a volunteer. And all know I am a volunteer. And it is true. Let me read a little bit of what we are hearing on the Facebook here. I have Lahelia. Do you remember Lahelia, Joy?
Of course, I
Lahelia,
know Lahalia, man, from
good
that.
night,
Yes.
Dr. Asha and Auntie Joy. She said, let's stand together for each other. That is so beautiful. Thank you,
Yes.
Lahelia.
Hi, Lahalia. Thank you so much. Yes.
Yes, and she bigging us up. One other person, Latoya Davis, who said, if night could turn into days, my God, she's talking about some of the men in the church. And, and she said,
Yes.
many
Yes.
things happen in church camp. And Mercy that said, wrong is wrong, truth must be told, yes. And Latoya again said, true, because a lot of abusers, etc., are being covered in church. And we will look some more at some. Karen Thomas says, speak joy. And so we'll look at some of the other messages as we go along. But persons are listening in, persons are contributing, and
Right.
we are thankful for them. And so we have to work together to create. Joy, I want us to, and I am this conversation, I'm going to be continuing this advocacy. We need to get to the place where we create the wraparound programs, the real actual change programs. We need to see the shelters open, and as advocates, we know where they are, that we can direct our women to them, and we see things
To them.
happening.
Exactly.
We need
That's
to
right.
have
We
spaces.
must be able to find them.
We should be able to find them. We are in the process, we are in the program. So we should be able to find them. We don't want a shelter that says we will take you in for 6 days or for 2 weeks and then you have to go away. We want a program that will help you to rise and stand on your feet. I hear Miss Babsy Grain say, call us, call me. I know she's one of those persons who have called directly and have received help. We need all of us to partner together to create a standing, permanent change that we can see that we are not only talking, but we are working to create that transformation. A matter of fact, we also need the laws that carry teeth. That a
Yes.
man
Yes.
knows that
Definitely.
if I, a woman said to me recently, so me a picnic today when you beat me, but me a woman tonight in the corner lie down on top of me.
Yes.
These differences, we need to allow our women the right to grow and strive. And listen to me, when we're talking, Joy, we're talking about the women, the most vulnerable. But we want people to know
Mhm.
that women who have doctors behind their name in all the farms, going into big universities and teaching and big offices and running their own business, going home to beaten.
You think one of the
It is happening at
that
all
is why,
levels.
Carla,
Yes.
the issue around gender-based violence, for example, one of the things that I'd like to put on the table is that there are 3 root causes for gender-based
Yes.
violence.
Mm-hmm.
1 is power, simply because I can do it. 2 is a breach of human rights. And 3 is gender inequality.
Yes.
Those are the 3 root causes. What we do is that we mix up the contributing factors, which are like poverty and religion and education and all of these things. Those are not the root cause. How you know it's not the root cause? If poverty was the root cause, it means that every poor man would do it.
Yes.
And no rich man would do it.
And no rich man
if
wouldn't do it.
education or lack of education, it meant that, like you said, the professors wouldn't do it. If it was about religion, it means that people who are outside or inside the church, those are contributing factors. And we must stop calling these things as what is the cause of the violence. Is not. The cause of the violence is simply one, denying me as an individual the right to speak. So when they say, hey girl, where you chat back to me for? I have a voice.
Yes.
Deny me my right to make decisions that involve me. So when I say to my partner that, you can't spend all the money on the car because we need to pay the school fee for a child, and that deserves that we'll get a beating. No, the money belongs to the family. I can say something. Freedom of movement. When you're going to tell me I can't go visit my relatives, or I need to give up those friends down there, or I can't go to some place, you're denying my freedom of movement. When you hit me, you're denying me my right of freedom from torture. There are human rights that are being breached. So we have to call it what it is. The contributing factors, though, are misleading people. So we're trying to attack gender-based violence, talking about, it's because the man did drunk. No, and every drunk man beat his wife.
Thank you.
So it cannot be the alcohol. Alcohol contributes. Poverty contributes.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of education contributes. People
Mm-hmm.
who leave them work contribute. They are contributing factor, guys, but they are not the cause.
They are not
And
the
as long
cause.
as we don't clear that up, then we won't be able to address it, because we're going to keep gender-based violence being classes or non-classes or colorist, and it has
Yes.
nothing to do with any of those. It's a
Nothing.
human issue.
The mere fact that it
It's
goes
a
across
human issue.
all stratas of finances, social, all the
Yes.
socioeconomic, tells you that that is not the cause.
And then the other thing, I was on a program recently with another colleague who
Mhm.
he denies that there's anything such as gender-based violence. And I'm going to say to people,
I am hearing it.
gender-based violence is real. There's violence that occurs simply because of how people show up
I see.
as
Yes.
feminine or masculine, simply because of how we think somebody's role or norm should be, or our
Yes.
our
For
cultural
argument's
perception
sake, I had to
of
have
gender.
conversation, time passed, and I can speak of two men in particular who look at me and said to me, "You do not know your place as a woman."
Yeah, yeah. And that's
Because
a
I
gender
choose to
statement.
speak up. That's a gender statement. And that's a man who I would not want to have a relationship with, because you're clearly saying to me, you do not respect me because I am a woman.
Exactly. And so we can't deny it that it exists. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's some school of thought that says it doesn't. It's just mere violence. Violence against women exists, but there's a
It
certain
is.
level of violence that's triggered by gender issues, and it affects both men and women. So, for example,
Yes.
the man or the boy who has a high-pitched voice or who's
Mm-hmm.
very neat, we
Or
have no idea
effeminate,
who
as
this
you would
guy is
call it.
attracted to, but we hurt him because
Mm-hmm.
he's not a real man. So we have these issues about how maleness and femaleness should show up, and
And
people
perception, yes.
experience violence simply because of that. We cannot deny that exists in our culture.
Gender-based
So
violence
we have
is
to address it.
real. Intimate partner violence is real. It is separate and apart from the general violence of a society. And I will
Against
not sit
women.
in I
Yeah.
will not sit in a conversation with anybody who would try to justify and change the game and change the conversation just because you don't. The reality hits you too hard and you're not comfortable. So
Yeah.
you want to make yourself comfortable by saying, "Oh, it happened to everybody." Oh, yes, it happened to everybody. But how often does it happen to our women more? Simply because they are the
Yes.
woman.
A woman.
How
And the other
often
thing
does
I
it
want to
happen to
put
a
out to
girl
our
child simply
listeners.
because she's a girl child? So
Yes.
these are what we have to look at.
So
Put it
another
out
thing I
there.
want to
Yes.
right for our listeners is that there are four main types of gender-based
Mm-hmm.
violence. You have
Yes.
physical, which we all can see. There
Yes.
is sexual, which we all hear about,
Mm-hmm.
but there's emotional and mental, and there's economical
Yeah.
and financial. Those
Yeah.
two are around us every day, but we don't see them. It's an abuse.
Don't see
It's an
them.
abuse when your people, your family, if it's family violence, and you're always being put down. You're
Mm-hmm.
called names. You're told you're workless. It's the girl who is told if she don't learn to wash, cook, clean, when she grow up, her
Thank
man
you.
are gonna beat her.
I go use a
And so
use
she's not
a
being taught
spanner.
to do these things to make her life better. You're not being
Mm-hmm.
taught to do these things to be a better human being. You're being taught
No.
to do these things so that you can become a servant of somebody else's gender issues. So
Yes.
those are some things. It's the financial abuse where one partner, the one who probably have more money in the relationship, or the one who has more power, controls the money,
Yes.
and therefore you can only eat when I say you can eat. You only get what I say you can buy. I'm not going to give you money for the kids to go to school unless you come and have sex with me, and the kind of sex I want
Right.
will determine how much money you get. So there are issues there. There are issues there. So we want to educate ourselves that it's not just the beat up, and to be honest with you, they're all before the beat up come out a road. That's the thing with the video. I don't know who is in the
Yes.
video. I don't know, but let me tell you something. For that to take place in public, it
It's
means that I am
good.
comfortable in public. you know, and for a weapon to be
It's a
utilized,
norm.
it
It's a
upscales.
norm.
Yes. So we have to understand the psyche and the theology of how people perpetrate this thing. It's not nice. It's not easy. But we have to deal with it. Because it's hurting our children too, eh? It's hurting our children.
It is hurting our children greatly. And then they are also, sometimes you watch some show and you see the deviance that happen in men because of the experience that they had as children. And people laugh, oh, it's a show. It is a replication of what is going on in our society.
Yes. I know a lot of young men who have been raped as children, and it has nothing to do with their sexual orientation. It's a horrible experience that they have had, and they've been abused, and they are traumatized for life. You know, and you know, we laugh, for example, around older women who we call them cougars. That's what I think we call them.
Yes.
Who prey on young boys and feel like it's their role to introduce them to sex and sexual activity at a young, tender age is extremely traumatic.
It's traumatic and joy, and
it's violent.
It's violence, and you have parents who are keeping out their children to these women for money, and that they are being abused. And the young boys are criticized.
We haven't even started to talk about
fight against it.
Yeah. And how do we traffic our children within communities, within families?
Yes.
You know, we send our children off to a relative somewhere to because them can't help out better when they reach it. They don't go to no school. They become house domestic servants. All of these things are happening. And so it's all a part of what we call gender-based violence. It's really an umbrella term for these things. Yeah.
It is so, Joy. It is so. And, you know, the reality of it is that until we start calling it by its rightful name, start giving its rightful position and condemning it at every level, we won't actually see a real change taking place. We won't see that shift that we want to have happen. And we won't see persons really taking it seriously. And the conversation will not change. And one of the things I want us to flag this evening is I look at both videos that was out there in the space. The one with the woman beating the man, the one with those two people don't know who they are, not going to try to say who they are. That was in that video. And I look at the messages, the statements of our own societal people that are being placed there. And what some women are saying about women who do these things. I look at the statements, the utterances, not only what come from the men, but I pay greater attention at this time to the conversation, the utterances of the women, of our society. And it brings forward to me not only how they see women should be treated, but how they see themselves. And the value that they have on themselves.
And you are correct. I mean, I agree with you, Carl, because for me, I place responsibilities on both genders and both manifestation of how we see things. But I do hold women in some kind of almost a higher order because we are our sister's keeper. And the truth is we give permission. We give permission to men around us to do what they see. So if a man knows that he can box on a woman in front of our friend and it's okay, he's gonna do it. If he knows that him try it and the friend gonna jump on top of him and say, yo, you're crazy, man, he may think otherwise. And you know one of the things, I mean, I really prefer to not go Twitter and Insta, you know, with these things because it really hurts when I hear comments, cynical comments, and you know that women choose these kind of incidents in their lives, that they want it, and she fool, and why she never got the police, and you know she loved the lick. And when I hear things like that, I say, you know, it's not worth a comment, to be honest with you.
I don't comment.
It's not worth to give audience to people who say that. Because remember that I say again, dark and illiterate, we just love it
Yes.
because I think every human being in their own conscience know right from wrong when it comes to
Yes.
how we demonstrate. Even this thing
Yes.
about if you love me, you need to lick me. I remember one time when they were doing a bleaching video. I don't know if you remember this one. And a girl say she bleached because when a man lick her, it show,
Sure.
you know.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, okay, all right, it's interesting. But I think at this point there should not be any big debate about the impact of violence.
No.
There shouldn't be any big debate about the impact of gender-based violence. So to me, when people come on and start debating if the woman did want it or she never wanted or she fulfilled, and I'm thinking that's a waste of my
I
energy
have a
right there.
problem. I have a problem. I do not join conversations that try to justify any wrong against anybody.
It should not be a debate. It should not be a debate.
It's not something
It
you
means
debate
that you're
about.
no, it's because what we're saying is the three things I'm saying now. It means that we are agreeing that one, the person who have power should exercise the power
Yes.
over the other person. Two, we're saying that the gender inequalities of how we relate is acceptable. And three, we're saying that another human being have rights over me, my body, my
Yes.
voice, my speech, and my everything. So that when you say
Yes.
all of that's what you're saying to me. So
That
you're
is
now
what you're
devaluing
saying.
me as a human being.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is what. When I hear women, and every time I thought, and it just coming to my mind now. A few years ago, I was in Falmouth, and this young man pushing him cart decided they want to struggle my body and whatever that look like, and it just it sound real bad and rough to me, like as something we could even manage anyway. I said to him, there was a time in society, and I said it, with style and attitude. There's a certain time in society when men like you in your class wouldn't even call to a woman like me. Wouldn't happen. And I said to him, I grew up in Manchester where it's even more classish. So you definitely would not call to me in my own environment. And he looked at me and he said, I'll never forget it. You are right. There was a time. However, I know we man changed the game, a woman changed the game and reduced the price. I never forget it. It stuck with me. And I know that
Yeah,
unless
that's rough, man.
women,
That's rough.
we get up and change the conversation and we fix it until we as women understand our value, understand our worth, and start raising our boys and our girls to understand that conversation, we will not see true change.
When it comes back to the sexual harassment conversation,
That is
and
another
we're
one.
glad that they're making an advance. But if you
Yes.
look at it in the way they do it, so we're addressing the sexual harassment in the workplace, we're addressing it in institutions, but we're afraid to take it out in the public because what we're saying, there are some people who say, well, if you have a sexual harassment bill law, then you are one guy say you're reducing the man opportunity to court the woman.
Yes, I
And
hear
any
one
kind
say
of
his son, one
and
man
any
say
kind of and I'm saying to
class,
myself,
his son now
if
go.
the only lyrics you have is hey girl, me want to do so and so with you, if that's the only
Yeah.
approach you have, wow, you can imagine
Wow.
what the next sentence would be. So if
Yes, thank
so
you.
rather than saying
But I hear some women
to the
say
court,
that you make them feel good when man call to them on the road, that them kind of weird
exactly.
deal.
So
I
rather
don't
than
know.
saying to the
You see
woman,
where we have
lift
to fix
your
this thing. I remember when I was going to high school, used to
yeah,
have this young man call to me every single morning. I'm going to school. Hi, sweet biscuit, and I don't answer. And by the time I pass him, say, "Go on, you mash up crackers." And I said to my girlfriend one morning, watching me and him. So as soon as he called to me, turn and I said, "Hi, good morning." He don't call to me again because he never have another
yes,
sentence prepared.
no, yeah, exactly.
From that
And so
morning
rather
until
than
now, that man don't open him mouth, say one more word to me because he have nothing else prepared. He was only there to abuse me because he don't expect me to answer him. The minute I answer
yeah,
nicely, he have nothing else to say. If I did
yeah,
flounce up,
because
he
you're
would
not
curse me. But from it, he
yes,
don't have no good, he don't know what to do. Him lyrics
yes, you have
cut
no
off.
other lyrics.
Mm-mm.
Yes, yes. And so rather than asking
Mm-mm.
our people to lift their standard and not to be violent, because even in that, the language is violent. Say
Mm-hmm.
that somebody gone walk and touch me, I don't know you, feel like you need to put your hand on my body. That's an act
I
of
don't know.
violence.
Yes.
If you have to say things to me that are derogatory, it's an act of violence. So we have to
Yes.
recognize all of this in our response.
Yes.
All of this has to change. All of
When
it
I
has to
can walk
change.
when I can walk on the street and say, well, me thank God for COVID, nobody now touch me. You know?
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
sad. It is sad
Yes,
that
yes,
we have
yes,
to be
yes.
thankful that because of COVID now, people respect the distance and don't touch you. Because to be honest, I don't believe if I don't give you permission to touch me, you should touch me. We don't have a
Definitely
relationship.
not.
I normally say to even some men, even backup men on the street, I say, I hear through my ears and not through my skin.
Ah, I like that.
Yeah, I hear
Yes.
through my ears, it's not my skin. Don't touch me. And it's not because I think I
Yes.
am better than you. It's simply because it's my right to my space and my skin.
And
I
you
have a right
determine who you want to. Yes.
I determine who I want to share it with. And we need to respect boundaries, people's boundaries like that. A
It
man
is
need
my
to understand.
right for my boundary.
Yes, you have it's your boundaries, your create boundaries that people should respect and honor the fact that you are you and you have decided to journey this way. Respect it. I shouldn't have to wear long sleeve clothes that makes skin cannot feel too dirty because you
Yes.
get touched for the day. You don't know the
Right,
condition
right, right.
if I have allergies, so you're just touching with your dirty hands. It is not right. It is not fair because guess what? The man going along, and if anybody touch him up, he's going to fight.
Yes, yes, yes.
And if him
And
see
I
a
still
man,
don't understand why.
you see a man coming towards his vehicle, boss, you're going my way, and you not touch him. But as a woman coming, he
Yes.
hang on by your skin, he hang on by your bag
Yes,
because
yes,
of
yes.
the gender power. Whether we want to
Right,
accept it
because
or
yes.
not, the gender power, as you said before, that creates that paradigm for you to think you have a right to hang on to my bag
To touch
and we
a
must
woman.
come with you because me a woman.
And that's true. So let's go back to that scenario, Carl. So here's you call him the man, the loader man.
Yes.
Him not holding up the man and pushing him up in the van by his bottom. So why he must do it with the woman? So it is clearly a gender issue. Is that clearly where there's a thought that I have a right or it's okay for me too? And so we can't deny it. We cannot continue to deny it. You know? We have to appreciate that it's happening.
It is true. We have to appreciate these are our realities. Let us stop trying to lump it. Because we just lump lump violence. I say it's all violence. Because I have one of my colleagues, and I hear him which day on his Monday program talking about it's just him don't think it's gender violence, it's just violence. And I said to myself, I would even answer him this evening. Because if me calling it done. So I said to myself, I wouldn't even answer him because I don't want nobody lump what I'm experiencing into general conversation. It is different. It hurts. When my sister have to call me in the middle of the night and say, if you don't put me up tonight, I'm going dead. It hurts.
Yeah.
When I have 6 women in shelter, I have to be advocating for support for them. It hurts me personally. I feel it. It hurts my heart because each time a sister falls, each time a sister is abused, I always say, there goes I, but for the grace of God, I'm a madness.
Something came to my mind when I was listening to you a while ago. Is another concept that we need to put on the table. Now, when it comes to the issue of gender-based violence, there's no space for mediation.
No.
It's not for mediation. It's time for us to address the issue. Mediation is something that you do when there's no crime there. You're not looking at criminal stuff. It's not a civil issue. We need to move this thing from being civil. It is a crime. Threat is a crime. When somebody threatens me that they're going to do something to me, I can go to the police station and report it and they get locked up. So why is it that we're treating the issue as a man and woman story? It's not a man and woman story.
I am concerned. When a woman goes to the police station, my man said that he's going to kill me, and you don't take it as a threat, to lock him up. But if I walk in the street and one stranger threaten me, I lock up the stranger might not even
Yeah.
see me again, but he threatened to kill me and me go take it
Yeah.
serious and me report it. And you're going to lock
Yeah.
up the stranger. But the man in the house who have the opportunity, the availability to kill me, say that he will kill me, and I come and say to you, he says he will kill me, please come and take him out of the house because I have nowhere else to go. You're going to come and tell me, I'm an woman story. If you
Yeah,
know
but
want
go
to put
work
up
it out.
go work it
out.
out, find somewhere go.
Uh-uh. You don't call for mediation in the heart of a crime.
No.
You know, and so we have to clear our heads. We have to clear our heads on this issue.
We
You know, and
must.
there's
must.
too many misunderstood approaches to the response of gender-based violence in our country.
It is so true. Joy, we have been talking and time have been going, and there's so much more to say, but I will not allow this conversation will continue, Joy. We might have to do a part 2. What are you doing next week? We might have to come back next week and finish the conversation.
I'll check my diary.
Please check your diary because I'm clearing the space for us to continue this conversation next week.
Yes.
However, we will not break without getting this opportunity to talk about E4Life and how do we support our women, our young girls, and their children that are in your care. Talk to us, Joy. I have a little something here, but I'll make you talk here something.
All right, so I like to say that there's nothing that you can send to us that we can't place in the hand of somebody who needs it. So
Amen.
Support can be one, financial to support the operations of the organization. It can be financial to support clients individually. We have our clients who are children. We serve clients from baby in a belly to 18. We have young women from 12 to 24 who are young mothers living with HIV. We have clients who are survivors of sexual violence. Our client pool goes up to 30 years old. We take volunteers for counseling. We have Doreen, who oversees our counseling program. She's a psychologist, and she always needs to have other therapists on board. We want food, we want clothes, we want scholarships, we want bursaries for our young people. We want technical support. We need devices. There's nothing that we need. We want an office space in Montego Bay. We want an office space in Sava. We want one in Ochi that we don't have to pay too much money for. Free is better. I like free. Because right now we don't have any office spaces. Our teams work from their homes, mobile. I mean, there's nothing. If you want to send a prayer, we'll take it too. Because I tell people that are not a church organization, but we believe to embrace spirituality. We ask people who have gifts of talents. We're very much into therapy. We're into art therapy. We're into yoga. We're into meditation. So any of those things. And then, of course, our big thing is mentorship. We want to train our survivors with women who have survived and are doing well, who can take a young girl under her wing. It can be a one week call. It can be just checking in on her, how she's doing, helping her to get from point A to point B. So there's nothing that you can think of. So we can take ideas, we can take cash and kind, and of course, we want networking, we want everything. And love, international, otherwise. If you email us, if you email us, email is the best way to get us. Info at eveforlife.org. Info at eveforlife.org is the best way to get us. And then we will respond to you. We're on all platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. You can send us private messages as well, and we try our best to respond to you. And we're always here for our survivors. Not just who we want support, we want you to refer people. Refer the young woman in your community who you heard something about and she has no support. Reach out to us and we will see what level of support we can lend to her. I think I sent your producer the numbers or emergency numbers. You can put it on your page for Carla, and we'll post it. So E4Life is here, and we can take everything. We can take everything.
Julia, you can add it to the link for me, please. I'm asking a producer to add it to the link for me just now. Right. So we have them here. We have them here, and we're going to put them up. So Joy, I got a lot of messages coming in on my 2 phones, and I see it on Facebook say yes, and I see Latoya David to say yes, love it. Part 2 sound good. So please go work on your agenda that we can come back next week at this same time to continue the conversation. It is needed because these are the platforms that will create the sustainable change that we need to see happening. Auntie Joy, thanks for talking with us this evening. I wish we had more time, but we know that other things happen. You know how radio go already. So we are glad to have you this
That's
evening.
all right.
We look
Thank you for having
forward
me.
to we look forward to next week. So please go clear that agenda and let us talk in the week that we can tell people, yes, confirm, Auntie Joy coming back. Because there's so much more to talk about. And I know you're already trying to cut and paste the conversation. So all them things that you cut out and say, make that stay, we're going to put them in for next week. So let us continue the conversation, Auntie Joy, next week, Wednesday at the same time. I look forward to having you. Thanks for coming on. Walk good, stay blessed, and I pray that as we go over the airwaves internationally,
Thank you for giving us
blessings will coming for Eve for life.
Yeah, man. Namaste. All the best to everyone. I had a good time. Thank you very much.
Blessed, walk good, and tell everybody how they feel it.
When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care, and nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even the darkest night. You just call.
You can call on my name wherever I am. I'm running.
Yes, just call my name and we'll come running to Auntie Joy, and I will always come. For affirmation this evening, I say to you, self-forgiveness releases your wings and allow you to fly to being yourself. Remember, your greatness is not determined by others, but by how you see the man in the mirror. If I ask you to name all the things you love, how long would it take for you to mention yourself? Today, I challenge you to value yourself and each phase of your journey. Let the moments count. That is what gives value to your memories. Live free. Stand strong. Stand in your greatness of self. Trust God and remember, there's always someone you can call on. Bless you, love you, walk good. I stand in affirmation of your greatness as you stand in affirmation of mine. Thank you, Auntie Joy. We stand together as we create the bridge to carry others to greater pastures. Blessed be from Healing Moments. Love no, walk good. And I'm Auntie Joy. I'm so glad you're still there with me as we say goodbye. Walk good, child. And next week, come prepared to do the affirmation for us. Love you.
Amen. All right, love you.
Goodbye from Healing Moments on Fit FM 96.7. See you next week. Blessed be.
Blessed.